This is your Daily 5 for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. After Lando and I watched Trouble Man, I made a slight alteration to the movies for the rest of the week. And when I changed the second movie, it kind of threw the whole theme I had out of whack, so I had to come up with a third movie. So I looked around at some suggestions for movies that people who enjoyed Trouble Man would also enjoy for our third movie of the week. And I came across a title that honestly I really didn't know what to make of at first because it was a very jarring title. It's 1973's The Spook Who Sat by the Door. And just seeing that title, I really wasn't sure what it was going to be about, but I clicked on it because I was interested. It had a good rating, and then read what it was about and realized why the title was what it was. And so I thought, okay, it ended up being the same director as Trouble Man, Ivan Dixon, and I thought, okay, we like that movie. This has some good ratings, including some saying that this had to be incendiary at the time, and all of that came together to make me interested. So I figured, all right, let's roll the dice on this one, because we already liked Trouble Man. I liked Kill Point, which I'm not going to re-review because I reviewed it already, but we'll talk about it on Friday, which was our second film. I already knew what that was, and I knew I didn't need to re-review it, but I wanted to go into something where I wasn't really sure, but it seemed like it was probably a good bet. And let me tell you, this movie so far might be the best movie we've watched in terms of writing and impact. I would put it right up there with Black Caesar in terms of the gut punch that it presents for you, but not in a negative way. Instead, and I don't want to spoil too much of this up front, but I would say that where Black Caesar ends in a way where you actually feel pretty crummy about where everybody ends up for the most part, The Spook Who Sat by the Door ends in a way where you have to fill in some of what comes after the ending, but it definitely ends in a more powerful way that is, depending on how you want to look at what comes next or what you decide comes next, is definitely more optimistic in terms of where the characters end up. Not in a really clear-cut way. I'm not going to say that it's a rousing happy ending for everybody, because it's not, but it definitely is not that. The ending of Black Caesar is just, it's a pretty nihilistic ending. I mean, it's a pretty downer ending. It's just as simple as it is. It's not a movie I'd ever want to watch again because I did not like the feeling that it left me with. Well made, well acted, powerful story, absolutely, but not a movie that I would ever really actively revisit unless somebody was asking me to or there was a reason. Whereas The Spook Who Sat by the Door, this movie really has a specific viewpoint and a main character that you are rooting for, and also a plan that makes a lot of sense. Also based on a book, which I will probably end up reading because I'm very curious about it, especially what things might have been changed, because I can understand why people think that this movie at the time probably rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I won't get into details on it, but I can certainly see how the established power structure would not be happy with some of the things that this movie is suggesting. Oh boy, definitely not. But I'll tell you, me and Lando were both really impressed with this one. No spoiler there. We both had a great time with this, and particularly because the writing and some of the dialogue and the acting was so strong. And there's just very, very specific things about it, which we'll talk about on Friday because we're going to have to get into the actual details of the story to cover. But there's just parts of this movie that I don't know that I've ever encountered something quite structured like this in terms of the situation it's presenting and the solution to a large systemic problem that it presents as something viable, which kind of is, really. If you think about it and take what the movie gives you, there's no reason not to believe that some of the things that are being attempted in this movie would not work in real life were they attempted. And those are the things I think that probably upset a lot of people. So again, I'm trying to avoid as much as I can any spoilers about it because it's a really wonderful film and I would suggest everybody to watch it because it is that good. And I again, Black Caesar, also excellent, but it just left you in such a sad state for everybody involved, whereas this has a very different feel once you get to the ending, depending on what you think happens next. So again, 1973's The Spook Who Sat by the Door, directed by Ivan Dixon. If you get a chance, absolutely worth watching. Later.